Amen.
All right, kiddos, head for the hills. Adults, head for John 8. Let's have a little fun this morning. I've been up now for 7 hours. I would love to say God just woke me up and disturbed my sleep, but I was actually preaching at Cooper Tire's chapel service this morning at 6 a.m. So I'm a little wired. It's like dinner time for me at this point, so I don't know what to do with this. John 8. Now, last week we looked at the woman caught in adultery there in John 8, 1 through 11. And again, you see that it's bracketed off, all right, which tells us this manuscript or this part of the story was generally not in the older manuscripts, all right? And there's some questions as to what we call the Johannine nature of this text, that John maybe did not write this. It uses words John doesn't normally use. It uses phrases and ways of writing that John did not do. So it's kind of set apart. And so a lot of people think it kind of got thrown right into this occasion when Jesus was there at the Feast of Tabernacles. Kind of got thrown in there because everybody went, this is probably the best place. It kind of fits there, all right? So we're not sure exactly what to do that. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to lose the context of Jesus being at the Feast of Tabernacles as we go back into this text, okay? I didn't want to jump out of text because that would get too confusing, more confusing than already, all right? But I want us to understand this. It was at the Feast of Tabernacles. This would take place in the seventh month, on the 15th day of the month, all right? Now, the seventh month was a big celebration time, all right? The first day of the month was Rosh Hashanah, all right? New Year's, all right? And then on the 10th day of the month, you had Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement, all right? Which is a very solemn day, very solemn occasion. And then on the 15th day, it's time to party. It's time to celebrate. And everybody would come to Jerusalem. They would build their booths all over the place, their tabernacles, their tents, and they would just live all over the place. So it's a time of celebration, a very solemn time as well, okay? And we've talked about that on and off as we've gone. And one thing that I was reading this week was there was an illumination feast or illumination of the temple festival. All right. Now, when we talk about the temple, or Jesus was in the temple, normally we're talking about the temple complex, which was about a 35-acre area, okay? I always say it's about the size of First Baptist Morris Lane with the entirety of their property, okay? So think the entirety of their property. That's how big the temple complex was. And a lot of times it says Jesus was teaching in the temple. Well, he wasn't in the Holy of Holies teaching. He was somewhere in and amongst that whole area, underneath some colonnade, just hanging out with 10 or 12 people in this corner, okay? And so what we talk about when we talk about the temple is that big structure. Now, you would then sort of isolate it and you would come in. And there was an actual barrier around the temple proper, let's call it, all right, the temple building. There was a barrier and it had signs on it. And it says, Gentiles, enter at the risk of your own death. All right? Now, that's a big deal, all right? If I walk up to a sign and it says, guy's named Bubba, you enter here and you might die, okay? Probably going to go, I don't think I need to go in there. I'm good. Which is really interesting because later on, Paul is going to bring Trophimus into the temple complex, and he's going to talk about this Ephesian who Paul supposedly brought past that barrier in towards the temple proper. And then so Paul writes to the Ephesians, and talks about that Christ has torn down the wall of hostility between the Jews and the Gentiles. He's literally talking about this wall around the temple proper. Now, if you get inside there, you go through the beautiful gate into the temple proper, and then you have this large courtyard. It's called the Court of Women, all right? It wasn't just the women got to hang out there and it was decorated a certain way or anything like that. It was just the women are only allowed to go in here, period. Only the Jewish women, they were only allowed to go past this. Men could come in here all they want. Men could actually go beyond that, but the Court of Women was the place where the women, that was where they had to stop. They could not go beyond that, okay? And in that Court of Women, there were these big trumpets, all right? They were trumpet-type things, and they were collection boxes, essentially, so that you would drop your money. So when Jesus is talking about the widow who came and put her money into the treasury. This is the area he's talking about, okay? Now, when you go beyond that, you start to get into the court of men, and then you get into the holy place, and then the Holy of Holies, and that's the whole temple proper, okay? Now, on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, they would have this illumination of the temple. Now, I want you to think about this. A 75-foot high candlestick. You with me? I didn't say 75 inches. I said 75 foot high. All right? If you've seen the Olympics, all right, the torch of the Olympics, you know, they always have them way up there elevated. We have like the in Atlanta, we still have the actual torch thing. It sits right by the Varsity Theater. So if you ever go there, you can go see all that stuff and get a little heartburn while you're at the Varsity. All right? Y'all have never been to Varsity. Sorry. They totally miss that, actually. I don't know. Chili dogs. Just go get you a chili dog at the Varsity. I'm just telling you. All right? So, no. Can't disagree. So, this torch, there's 4 of them that would be set up inside the court of women. And it would illuminate all of the courtyard of the temple. But even beyond that, these lights were so high that they would illuminate all of the city of Jerusalem. So as you're walking around and as you're celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles, you could go all night long and you could wander around. It's kind of like New York City, right? You could just wander around. Why? Because everywhere was lit up because of these torches that were 75 feet high. The kind of nasty part is they use the priest underwear, undergarments, to build the wicks for these things. That's kind of gross. That's off the point. But anyway, sorry, that's just the gross part of it. But here's what do you think that celebrates or symbolizes? The fire 75 feet high that illuminates the whole city. Remember, we're celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles where we live in tents because we don't have a home and we're leaving Egypt and we're going out from there and there's illumination everywhere. What's illuminating the night while they're in the wilderness? Pillar of fire. So this is their way of, let's set up these huge candelabras, these 4 huge candelabras, and we will celebrate this. And this is the way it illuminates everything, okay? How long do you think it took them to trust the fire? How long do you think it took the Israelites to trust the fire? So when the fire started moving, how many of them went, we're going that way? Because that's going that way? That's how we're going to play this game? How many people went, I don't think I want to go that way. That doesn't seem like the right way. Have any of you ever told God, God, I don't think you understand my circumstances. That surely is not what I should do in this moment. Because if you knew my circumstances better, you would understand that that's not the right thing to do. That's not the wise thing to do, God, right? How long did it take them to trust the illumination of God in the wilderness? So Jesus steps into this moment. Look here in 8:12. Then Jesus spoke to them again. I am the light of the world. Anyone who follows me will never walk in the darkness, but will have the light of life. Now do you see the significance of this? All right, this is not just some abstract sort of thing. Jesus saying, well, I'm the light of the world, so be lit with me in fellowship and glory and love. No, he was saying, I'm the light of the world. If you will follow me, look at the practicality of this second part. Anyone who follows me will never walk in the darkness, but he will have the light of life. How many of you are scared of the dark? Liars. Some of y'all are scared of the dark, right? Because the darkness can be scary. Because why? Bad things happen in the dark, right? All right? You stumble over things. You trip over things. And Jesus says, I'm the light of the world. And on this occasion, he's talking about it. This candelabra may well have been lit up right there he's sitting at the feet of these candelabras because he's in the court of women alongside these big candelabras. He's saying, look at me. I'm the light of the world. And if you'll follow me, you will not walk in darkness. You will not stumble around. So let's do this. I need to illustrate this real quick, okay? So Caden, I need you to go get the volleyball that Dad bought me the beach volleyball that Dad bought me. Go get it. Hurry up. I got time for this. All right? Now, how many of you think he's going to be able to do this? What's he going to have to know? Well, it helps that the lights are on, right? Because imagine if he was in the darkness. Even if he knew that, would he be able to get there? Now, he's got to wonder if I'm playing a trick on him by, did I lock the door or not? Just to mess with him and just see him panicking right now, all right? But what else? How many of you know what volleyball my dad bought me? No. Why does he? Here you go. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. All right? My dad, toward the end of his life, he started saying, hey, Bub, what do you want? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for birthday? All that stuff. And at some point, I stopped going, Dad, I don't want anything. I'm good. I started going, I want something really expensive, all right? And something really good. Now, I love some beach volleyball, all right? And this was a beach volleyball that he bought me because it was about a $60, $70 to $5 volleyball, all right? That's a lot of money for a volleyball. But I said, you know what? My dad loves to spend money. He loves to spend it on me, so I might as well take advantage of this. So he bought me this ball, all right? But how does Caden know which volleyball this is? How does he know where it was? That's my son, right? How many times has he been in my office snacking on some Pop-Tarts or something, just sitting in the back room trying to hide from us? He knows where my office is. He knows how to get into there. He knows which volleyball. Why was he so able to do this? Because of a relationship, right? The light was there. Most of you could never have done what he just did. Why? Because you don't have the same relationship, right? Now, let's make this difficult. Yeah, I've already decided who I'm picking, so. Come here, Jeremy. You know I'm picking you. You know I'm going to mess with you. Dan, I'm picking you too. Come here. Because I got to mess with both of y'all. All right, now, here's the thing. I'm going to let you be blindfolded because we got to put you in the dark, all right? And Dan, you're going to get to lead him. Now, you can choose. You can either grab him by the hand or put his hand on your shoulder and lead him, or you can talk to him. Either one, I'm not picky. So you decide, do you want to be able to speak to him or be able to touch him? Choose. Because I'm going to send you somewhere and you got to do something too. Hurry. All right, so you're going to take his hand. You're going to lead. Now, you can't talk. Dan, you cannot talk. So you're going to have to lead him. Now, Dan, I need you to go into my office, into the back Holy of Holies part of my office. All right? No, it's not in there. Sorry. It's not in the Holy of Holies. It's just in my office. All right? And there's a red and black volleyball. Can you bring that to me? And remember, we're all waiting on you. So, no, we're not all waiting. Hey, how hard is this going to be? How hard is this going to be? He can't talk, but does that matter? No. Is it hard for Jeremy right now? What's Jeremy experiencing right now? Doubt, confusion, embarrassment. He's saying, I'm glad Crystal's not here to make fun of me. All right? Now, I don't know if any of y'all met Paul. Paul's been a visitor with us for the last couple of weeks. Paul, do you have any clue where my office is? No. So if I went to Paul and said, Paul, can you go in there and get the volleyball out of my office? You would be clueless, right? Y'all get to know Paul. He's been here for a couple of weeks. You'd be nice to him, all right? So if I were to go to Paul and say, go in there, why would you not be able to? Number one, we don't have that relationship. Number two, you don't have a familiarity with all this, all right? You wouldn't know anything about this, so you would be completely lost. And they're still lost. So we'll see. But here's the thing. Even if he does get the volleyball and brings it back to me, even though Jeremy's in the dark, he's got somebody with him taking him along and guiding him along the way. Do you have someone in your life when the darkness comes in that can lead you and help you in that? Do you have that person? Or better yet, are you that person for someone else? Now, here's the danger. I'm really getting worried about him because it's not that hard to find. It's like right inside the door, all right? Here's the danger in that, though. If I put Jeremy back over here again, would he be able to do it by himself next time? Would he be able to find it all by himself, blindfolded, next time? Not if we just take him by the hand and drag him there. Did he do it? Yeah! Nice job. Y'all give Jeremy a hand. All right, you can take that off now. There you go. Appreciate that. See, I picked them because they're not on Facebook that much, and I warned the rest of you, didn't I? All right? Now, here's the thing. He took him by the hand, and he took him over there. What's going to happen next time? Who's Jeremy going to need next time? Dan's still got to come back and grab him by the hand and take him over there. Parents, at some point, you're not going to be able to grab your kids by the hand. And they need to understand the light of the world so they do not stumble around in darkness. Students, you're not always going to have your parents. Cole, you're finding out this real hard way in college, aren't you? All right? You're not always going to have them. You've got to find the light for yourself. Because Christ promised this. I am the light of the world. You will not walk in darkness if you follow me. You will understand there's so much practicality to the message of Christ. Any Christians in here wonder, how in the world did I end up here? Not physically in this room, but whatever situationally you have found yourself in, and you wonder, how in the world did I get so far off course? How many of you blamed God going, Jesus, why am I so lost right here and right now when you told me if I follow you, I will not walk in darkness? How many of you have been so foolish as to ask that question? You with me? Because what's the answer? What's Jesus going to say back to you if he's going to be just brutally honest? I'm over here. You're over there. Do the math. Just go through the 10 Commandments. Just go through the 10 Commandments. Seriously, just stop at 5. Honor your father and mother, right? Honor your father and mother. How many of you have made a mistake in life because you failed to honor and hold up the respect and the weight of your parents? And you cease to consider them and how much their influence and their guidance means in your life. You can stop at 5. You know, heading to 6, all right? Going into 7, we already talked about 7, all right? 8, stealing. 9, lying to people. 10, coveting. All right, just knock out those. And how smooth is your path going to be? How practical is this idea? I am the light of the world. And if you'll just follow me, follow my rules, follow my guidance, follow my challenges, you will not stumble. You will not fall. You will not fall into all these traps. You know, this morning I did the chapel service there, and I talked about what I think is Jesus' favorite day. The Jesus' favorite day. Yeah, some of you are thinking all sorts of different things of what might have happened, but I think Jesus' favorite day starts with a boat ride. They get in a boat, and Jesus says, hey, let's go take a ride across to the other side. He says, this will be fun. Well, guess what happens halfway through the day? What happens halfway through the boat ride? Storm comes in, and what are they screaming? We're going to die. Now, do these fishermen know they're going to die? They're fishermen. They're walking around behind a carpenter. Does the carpenter know what's going to happen? This one did. Jesus is sound asleep underneath the thing. And they're scared to death that they are going to die. They are absolutely certain. You see, they are in the dark as to what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. And some of you fall into that same pattern, don't you? Fear overwhelms you. Fear of fear of all these things. I heard somebody say fear is false expectations about reality. Yes, it spells fear, if you're wondering, all right? False expectations about reality. That's all fear is. You see, the problem with you is you're in the dark, and Jesus knows what's going to happen. So Jesus wakes up, kind of gets up and goes, hey, quit. And what's their reaction? Now they're scared. That's what I love. We're going to die. All right, that's a level of fear that's pretty high, right? And then it says, and then they were afraid. More so than when you were about to die, right? And they get to the shore eventually. And I'm wondering, why aren't they just walking in the light? Why aren't they just understanding who's with them? That they don't need to be afraid. They don't need the doubts. They don't need to have all the confusion. They have the light right there in the boat with them. I always wonder why Peter didn't just snuggle up next to Jesus and go, all right, we're going together, all right? Imagine if that was your mentality instead of panicking because God doesn't know what you're going through. You see, what I love though is they finally get across the other side of the lake and they land on shore, right? Have you ever seen that guy that gets off the boat and is like, oh, praise Jesus, there's land, kissing the ground, doing sand angels, whatever he's doing. Well, in this moment, when he crosses the lake, in the midst of the storm, goes through the storm, quiet, gets to the other side, gets out of the boat, Peter's sitting on there going, I'm never getting in that boat again. And all of a sudden, John looks up and goes, who is that coming at us? Well, it's a Gerasene demoniac, all right? Let me give you a picture of him. He's got hair going everywhere. He's got shackles ripped off of his arms and his ankles. He is bloody, and he is butt naked running at you, all right? Now, do the math on that. Peter, I'm never getting on that boat again. Peter, I'm getting on the boat, all right? As quickly as he can. He's trying to get in the boat and trying to paddle off as fast. Because, bloody, naked shackles man is coming at you at full speed. And Jesus just says, stop. Come out of him. And the demons inside of him says, what do you have to do with us, Jesus, Son of the Most High? Don't torment us yet. See, who's walking in the light in this moment? The demons know. The 12 are probably panicking like I would be if I saw bloody, naked, hair going everywhere, man coming at me. But that's because they're still in the dark. They don't understand who Jesus is just yet. See, wouldn't it be cool if they were just sitting there in the boat in the midst of the storm going, all right, do something cool, Jesus. Do something amazing. And then when the demoniac is coming at them at full speed, they're going, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And all of a sudden, the demon stops right there. Jesus says, get out of him. And by the way, what's your name? He says, my name is Legion. And he goes, you mind if we go in those pigs over there? And Jesus goes, absolutely. We don't do that pig thing real well in the Jewish community. All right? So he sends them into the pigs. And what do the pigs do? Over the side. Don't do it. I got to do it. They committed suicide. There we go. All right, that's my worst preacher joke. All right, sorry. So, they jump over the side, and guess what? The people in the community. What do the people in the community do? Whew, the demoniac is cured. Everybody's good. No, what do? They come to Jesus because the suicide thing. All right, they come to Jesus, and what do they see? This man is now dressed in his right mind for the first time in as long as anyone remembers. And now they're scared. You know why? Because Jesus messed up their little messed up world. See, some of you are more comfortable in your chaos than you are in the light. Because your chaos is something you can control. And your unforgiveness and your bitterness and your anger is your little world. And even though God can save you from all this, you're more comfortable in that than you are in the light. And let me assure you of this, you will stumble and stumble and stumble through this life until the day you die in all your bitterness and your anger and your control. And you have lived an absolutely inconsequential life here on this earth. And that's exactly what the Gerasenes were going to live through. Because they like their darkness more than they like the light. Now Jesus leaves there at their request, and he comes back. Now, what you got to see is on the shore, there's a guy, and he is pacing like crazy, right? His name is Jairus. And Jairus is pacing and pacing and pacing, and he's looking out onto the shore, and he keeps pacing, and he wants to go back home. Why? Because his 12-year-old daughter is about to die. See, the problem is Jesus was here yesterday, and he's not here right now. And his world gets really, really dark in this moment, doesn't it? Because fear comes into play. Doubts, questions. God, where are you? Literally, God, where are you in my time of pain? I need you here. And all of a sudden, he sees the boat. And Jesus gets off the shore and he goes, Jesus, you have to come to my house. My daughter, my only daughter, my 12-year-old daughter is about to die. You have to come with me. Jesus goes, hey, lead the way, which is a very dangerous thing to do, say to a dad of a 12-year-old daughter, and there's a crowd between him and the house. Y'all with me? Mark, how jacked up was you be swinging, and we would all be swinging, right? Anybody that's got kids in this room, somebody would be in the hospital, all right? Because the crowd is there and he needs to get through the crowd. And I'm telling you, Jairus is going to do whatever it takes because he's afraid. You see, the irony is he came to the shore to find Jesus, the one who can do miracles, but he's afraid that Jesus won't do it in time. Do you see the irony of that? The guy that raises people from the dead might not get there in time to heal my daughter. So he's running through, and he's knocking people out and everything, and all of a sudden Jesus stops. Now, how do you feel if you're dad and Jesus stops? What happened to your darkness? Are you going, oh, Jesus must have something better to do? Jesus must have someone else to bless. No, why? Because who are you focused on in the dark? You're always focused on yourself when you're in the dark. So when you find yourself absorbed by who you are and all your issues and all the how people are mean to you and you and you and you and you are in the dark. You have moved away from the light of the world and you've settled on the darkness in your own heart. And that's all you're focused on. And Jairus is in this moment and Jesus stops. And this is the difficulty of this. The difficulty is Jesus is stopping. Why? Because the woman with bleeding reached out and grabbed the tassel of his garment. You got to understand, Malachi wrote that the Son of Righteousness would come with healing in his wings, literally on the tassel of his garment. And she knew all I have to do is touch him. But what does Jairus know? My daughter's dying, and you just stopped. And all of a sudden he looks up, and people are coming from the house. And what do they say? Don't bother. She's dead. Don't bother the rabbi anymore. She's dead. And I think in this moment, I can't imagine what Jairus is feeling in this moment, but I know it's not the light. I know it's darkness. And I think the light of the world grabbed this man's face and said, look at me. It's going to be okay. Just believe. You gotta step into the light, come out of this darkness that you just stepped into and come into the light and believe in me. And I don't know if Jairus did it voluntarily or just in a stupor, whatever it was, but he went home anyway. And he brought Jesus with him. And Jesus went in there and told the little girl, get up. And she did. You see, when you're in the light, you start to expect Jesus to do beautiful, amazing things. You start to see that your circumstances do not define your reality. You start to see that there's more to the story, more to the understanding. There's always more. Imagine if one of the disciples at any point during this day had just sat back and gone, I'm in the light, let's do something awesome. Oh, a storm? Not a problem. Not a problem. We're good. Yeah, that guy running at us? Not a problem. Jairus sitting on the shore going, I'm just going to let Jesus get a little bit of glory today. My daughter's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But let me say this. Walking in the light of the world will not make your life better as defined by the world. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. Do not roll into some crazy theology. You see, how many of the disciples were martyred for their faith? This will not make your life better. It will make your life beautiful. And I hope you understand the difference. Y'all been so gracious and kind to comment and to ask me about my friend Mike. They got the report back that it's stage 4 aggressive bile duct cancer. But you know what my friend's doing? He's in the light. The darkness is not going to overtake him because he is in the light. He's not going to stumble on his way wherever this disease takes him. He's in the light. And he's not afraid. He has his normal concerns. We all would, right? But he ain't afraid. He's not in the dark. He's in the light. There's a beautiful passage in Isaiah 30:21. It says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, you will hear a voice saying, go this way, walk in this way. It's only found in the light, folks. It's only found in the light of Christ. So picture Jesus sitting there in the court of women, surrounded by all sorts of people going everywhere, these huge candelabras, as they're walking around in the light, and Jesus says, that's nothing. I'm the light of the world. If you will walk in me, you will never stumble. You will never fall. And I love what the writer of Hebrews says. How could we neglect so great a salvation? How could we neglect this God who cares more about us than we could ever care about ourselves? This God who's going to lead us in the light, maybe into sickness, maybe into death, but so be it. Who wants to live forever anyway? Live a beautiful life. Don't live your best life now. Live the most beautiful life you could imagine in the light of your Savior. That will be beautiful. Let's pray. Father, again, don't let us live boring lives. God, don't let us live boring lives that where our faith is never challenged, where everything is taken care of, where everything is good and positive and all this. We don't need that, Father. That'll send us away from you. And God, we don't need that. Father, we need to live beautiful lives to reflect your glory, to reflect your truth and your love. So, Father, I thank you. I thank you that you sent us Christ to pierce the darkness. I pray only this, that I and everyone here in the sound of my voice will love the light more than we love the darkness. That we will run from the darkness, that we would avoid it at all costs and stay in the light of your truth, the truth of your scriptures, in the light of the revelation that your Holy Spirit gives to us, in the light of your Son who loved us enough to die on that cross. Father, I thank you that you are the light of the world. We don't need anything else to guide us through this life except for you and your love and your compassion and your mercy. So, Father, may we walk in those things. May people see us in those things. And may we live beautiful, beautiful lives.